Hello friends, welcome. Friends, everybody is aware that the telecom operators have made announcement for increasing their tariff plans. So all these are available in their website and anybody can go and see. So we have Jio, we have got Airtel and we have got Vodafone. Now, why I'm doing this video? So what is the purpose of this video? The purpose of this video is to understand that which bracket the increase has been most. Because by looking at this plan, nobody will be able to get a very clear understanding because these are different types of plans and they are mapped to different types of parameters. So very difficult to understand unless you lay out these plans on a common benchmark. So what is that common benchmark? It is rupees per GB. Because ultimately everybody is consuming data and they are paying for data. And that's the whole purpose of using mobile phone today, because even voice calls are made using data, except for some of the voice plans which I am going to extract out and deal with separately, where the data per GB prices are GB per rupees prices are extremely high, rupees per GB prices are extremely high. The rest of the plans can be very easily measured on a rupees per GB metric. So that will give you a very clear understanding as to how these plans compare with each other and where the operator has made maximum increase. So that's point number one. The second point we will be trying to understand from this discussion is that why they have made that increase in that particular segment and whether it is going to translate in increase in ARPU for a particular service provider and how much is going to be the ARPU increase. Now you understand that it is very difficult to make a prediction on how much is the ARPU is going to increase, but I'm going to give you some cues and anybody who is interested can extrapolate and revise those numbers to see for themselves that whether there will be a substantial increase in ARPU or the ARPU increase is going to be nominal, and even there is a room for whether there is a room for increase of ARPU or not. So let's, without wasting any time, let's go and straight to the dashboards which I have created. So if you look at this particular dashboard, I have various kinds of tabs here. So there are different types of tabs here. So if you see, I have got a 28-day plan tab, then we have got a 56-day plan tab, then 84-day annual plan, postpaid plan, voice plan, and then I have got two tabs, other tabs, where I'm going to basically compare the various plans in one single snapshot to able to see where the data prices are the lowest and where the data prices are highest. So let's look at the 28-day plan. First, let's understand the 28-day plan. Now, if you look at the 28-day plan, you will notice very interesting, it gives us a very interesting insight. You will notice that every plan has got a different data rate, consumption rate, which is rupees per GB, means how much you spend to consume 1 GB. So you notice that there are plans which are going to cost you as high as rupees 10.68 per GB. Right, so these are plans. All the three service providers have this plan. These are basically called 299 plans for Bharti, 299 plans for Vodafone, and Reliance Jio has got a plan which is 249 plan for Reliance Jio. And the Reliance Jio plan is of a lower rate compared to Bharti and Vodafone. So earlier, Bharti and Vodafone had a rate of 9.46 rupees per GB, around 9.46 and 9.61 rupees per GB. Now they have increased that to uniformly 10.68 GB, which is a 12.8 to around 11.2% increase. So this is the plan which is going to be having the highest cost per GB apart from those voice plan in the 28 plan segment. Now, why I am focusing on this plan? The reason I am focusing on this plan is that since the rupees per GB rate is the highest in this segment, it is expected that this plan is going to have the lowest ARPU. Because if you look at this plan, this is basically the lowest ARPU plan anyway. You can see that, and they have structured this plan in such a way that those paying the lowest ARPU will consume the least amount of data. And which means that these plans are mapped to the lowest level of the population which is at the lowest strata of the society. Because nobody is going to use such plans where the consumption of GB is going to be at that costly, right? If you are going to consume GB, you have to pay more than 10 rupees per GB. This is very, very costly. And therefore, if you see that what is the kind of increase that they have made in these various plans, you will find that the biggest increase has been done by Reliance Jio, which is basically going to be a deep insight for those who have not evaluated this plan. So it's almost like 19.1% they have increased on this segment. And mind you, this plan may be used by the rural segment of the population, and those people who are at the urban segment are not going to afford a large amount of ARPU or spend in the mobile communication. So, and Reliance Jio probably has the largest proportion of the overall pie in this particular segment, because their ARPU is not very high, even though their subscriber numbers, if you see the Reliance Jio subscriber number, Reliance Jio has a total subscriber number of 485 million versus Bharti's around 395 million. So Reliance Jio has an ARPU, if you do a calculation and add all the wireless and wireline subscribers together, though it is not, there hasn't been increase in the wireline segment, you will find that their ARPU is 173 rupees versus Bharti's ARPU of 210 rupees, which includes, by the way, a wireline segment. Okay, so that is the reason you will find that this is quite interesting, which means the Reliance Jio is directly targeting the lowest strata of the society and hoping to extract a larger pound of flesh from these people. Now, whether they will be successful in doing that or not, we will see during this presentation, which is very important. Now, if you look at the other segment, which is the 349 rupees segment, you will find that in this particular segment, again, Reliance Jio has made the largest increase. Though Reliance Jio's earlier plan was 239. So what they've done is from 239, they have increased it to 299. So which is a 25.1% increase. So they had in both this segment, in the 28 validity plan, which is 1 GB per day and 1.5 GB per day, Reliance Jio was at the lowest, 7.46 and 5.6, and Reliance Jio was at 5.69. So they have jumped from 7.46 to 8.89 and 5.69 to 7.12 rupees per GB. And that's why you see a huge jump, 25.1%, 19.1%. So they have done it using certain strategy, and we will evaluate why they have done that, right? Compared to Bharti and Vodafone, they have not increased to that level. Now let's look at the 2 GB per day, 28-day validity plan. You'll see that the increase has been almost similar by all the three service providers. Bharti around 18.8%, VI also same, and Reliance Jio has made 16.7%. So there has been almost uniform increase. And then we look at the 28-day validity plan, which is the 2.5 GB per day plan, where we find that Reliance Jio has increased slightly more compared to Bharti and Vodafone, a little bit more compared to Bharti and Vodafone, but you can say that they have all increased to similar levels, right? And here, everybody is now at almost at the same rate. Vodafone and Bharti is slightly at premium. And in the last segment, everybody has made almost similar increase. So, summary of this particular dashboard is that Reliance Jio has increased the largest in the lowest segment of the plan, which is consumed by the mass population compared to Bharti and Vodafone. It's very clear. Now let's go to the 56 GB plan, which will throw some further insight. In 56 GB plan, if you see here, you will find that in 56 GB plan, we have Bharti, Vodafone and Reliance, they have been increasing at the same rate. 21%, right? And 56 GB, 2 GB per day plan, also you can say that they are almost same rate, except for the fact that Vodafone has increased from 4.81 rupees per GB to 5.79 rupees per GB. So, but they are now at the same level. So this basically clearly gives a very good insight of the fact that how Reliance, so in this segment, which is a larger validity period. So people may be paying upfront from their pocket in order to get a better rate of data. So data rate is a little bit better compared to what you have there in 28 day plan. So here in this segment, everybody has increased in similar levels. Now let's go to the 84-day plan. Now 84-day plan, if you look at the 84-day plan, you will notice, let's look at the increases. Here also you will find that the increase has been similar in nature, roughly 20% across the board in the 1.5 GB plan. 1.5 GB per day plan of the 84-day. In the 2 GB, Reliance Jio has increased the largest, right, because they were at the lowest level, so they are trying to bridge the gap as much as they can. And then we have got another 3 GB per day plan where Reliance Jio has increased the largest, where it was in 3.96 rupees per GB, so they have increased it and brought it to 4.76 GB. So here also you can see the similar story, that these are larger value plans, and in these larger value plans also there has been a substantial increase in price, which is almost between 20 to 20, if you look at this is Bharti is 16.7, so it's like between 17% to 20% everybody is increased. Now let's look at the annual plan. Now if you look at the annual plan, you will see that in annual plan also everybody has increased by the rate of 20%. It's very, very clear and simple. See, everybody has increased by 20%. Vodafone has increased by 20%, Reliance Jio has increased by 20%, and then, Bharti has increased by 20%, Reliance Jio has increased by 20%. But as far as Vodafone is concerned, this particular plan for Vodafone looks like that they are actually at the highest data rate. Now, why they are at the highest data rate? Because they have a 1.5 GB per day compared to both Bharti and Jio, which is 2.5 GB per day. That is why this number is quite high compared to what the other two service providers are concerned. Now, let's look at the postpaid plan. Postpaid plan, you will see that there are different types of increase at different segments. So if you look at the postpaid plan, you will see that in the 1 GB segment, roughly around 1 GB per day segment, the increase has been around 16%. Right, and then Reliance, the VI has increased it by 20%, and they are trying to bridge the gap. Means they're almost at the level of because this is not to scale, so you should not be seeing this a gap as a large gap. If I had drew it in scale starting from 0, this gap would not have been that significant. This gap would not have been that significant. But you see that this is roughly 9, this is 10, and this is 11. So they are trying to be in the same segment. Now, in the 1.3 to 1.56, 1.64 GB per day plan, because this is our annual plans with family plan. So if you see that this is 4 connections together in a family plan where you have 199. So what I've done is that while calculating GB per day, I've divided by 4. Right, because you have to have an apples to apple comparison. So here you will see that the rate per GB was 5.26, now has been increased to 6.31. As far as Bharti is concerned, they have done a 20% increase, and then VI has increased from, because VI's numbers were is low because this is one connection. This is not 4. So if I compare VI's 4 is here. So they also have done similar increase compared to Bharti, see, but it is slightly lower, but they have done similar increase. Now here if you see Reliance Jio has increased. So if you see, this is Reliance Jio, this is Reliance Jio, and so there are 2 Reliance Jio plan postpaid. So they have increased by 16.7 and 12.5, and other they have almost mirror. So if you look at Bharti and Vodafone, so they have actually mirrored them where they are increased, right, in every segment. For example, in the 2 segment, where in the family plan where 2 connections are allowed, you see that Vodafone has increased by 16.6% and Bharti in the 2 connection segment 16.7%, which is roughly same, right? And in all the other segments, the increase has been similar. For example, in the 4 segment, Vodafone and Bharti has both increased by by 20%. So what do you see here? You very clear, and then we have got the 2.46 GB plan and 2.96 GB plan, where the increase has been 10% and 10% with a lower per GB rate, data rate, GB per rupees rate in this particular segment. The highest segment of data rate is in this, where the number is low, right? As far as the post-pay plan is concerned, which is 9.98, increased to 11.23, and here also, if you see, Reliance Jio 9.97 has increased to 11.63, right? Now let's go to the voice plan. If I go to voice plan, what I see in voice plan, I basically see that Bharti, VI and Jio, they see, if these numbers will be very high by the voice plan, because this is the lowest category plan, and there you are targeting the lowest segment of the population, because you see that this is basically for SMS and making voice call. So 179 to 199. So there has been not that much increase in the lowest 28-day validity date. It is roughly around, you can say, the 11. Only Reliance Jio. So Reliance Jio has only increased the number from to 22% compared to what it was earlier, because from 155 to 189, 22% it is increased. But Bharti and VI has done conservative increases, right, in the lowest segment, because they were already at a higher level. Reliance Jio is catching up, because Reliance Jio was quite low, in this particular segment. Now, the 84-day validity plan, you will also see a similar trend. Reliance Jio has made the largest increase compared to both of them, right? Now, what do you make out of this scenario? It's very clear from this discussion that Reliance Jio, which were giving discounted rate of data at the lowest segment of the population, has made a significant increase in data rate, hoping to get a larger increase in ARPU, because they felt that they were offering data much cheaper. In all the three segments, you will see the story is similar in nature compared to Bharti and Vodafone. Bharti and Vodafone, they were high, and their increase is roughly around 10 to 11%, but Reliance Jio has made a flat 20% increase in the lowest segment of the data of the population. So which clearly means that whatever numbers Reliance Jio has been able to gather, which is their total subscriber number is 85 million, out of which rural is 208 and urban is 276. Reliance feels that they have been able to capture the market. Now it is the time to monetize the market. So they have raised the rate, hoping to get a larger jump in their overall ARPU. Whereas Bharti has been conservative in increasing the lowest segment of the population, and they have increased at the higher tiers more, which is very clear. We will not go to the detail and calculation here, which you can do yourself, but that is the flavor you are able to get here. Now, which plan has the lowest data consumption rate, which you can see from here? You will find that the plans which have the lowest data price, means GB per rupees, the price of rupees per GB, you will see that this is the annual plan of 2.5 GB, 3.29. This is the old rate, and then let's point to the lowest rate. This is 84-day validity plan, 3 GB. This was around 4 rupees. Then we had the 2.5 GB annual plan. This was around 2.29 GB, rupees 2.29 rupees per GB. And then we have here, if you see, VI was old, anyway higher, if you see higher. So only the Reliance Jio had 3 plans, actually 2 plans. We were actually at the level of 4, and one was a little bit of higher than 4, right? And then Bharti had 1 plan which was roughly at the level of 3 same level which Reliance was offering. Now let's go to what is the new situation as far as the new plan is concerned on rupees per GB. So if you see this, the new plan on rupees per GB, you will see that the segment which was the lowest, and that segment also has been raised to 4 rupees roughly, right? And all the other segments, Reliance Jio now has, Bharti anyway didn't have, only one segment Bharti had a lower rate, so Bharti had around 4 rupees, the segment of 2.5 GB per day with a 365-day validity is around 4 rupees per GB, and rest is very, very high. It's almost higher in all the places. As regards VI is concerned, there is not a single plan is at the level of this particular plan. So there is already one plan which Bharti has. Now as far as Jio is concerned, Jio has raised their earlier plans to a level which is higher. Now see that only one plan of 2.5 GB, both Bharti and Jio are at the same level, and rest of the plans are all higher than this level. So if I go here into the earlier sheet was Reliance Jio had 2 plans, right? And Bharti had 1 plan, and Jio VI anyway didn't have any plans, right, at that level. Now you are basically able to see that Reliance Jio is now catching up and trying to be at par with the other 2 operators by raising the lower population's price to a higher level, so that they are catching up. Now let's do one more analysis before I close this video, which is very important. Now you have seen that on a high level, you got the flavor. On a high level, the plans which are at the lower level has been increased by Reliance Jio by 20%, whereas Bharti and Vodafone are the lower plans which is being bought by the lower segment of the population. There the increase has been made by around 11 to 12% or 13%, right? So that's the flavor that you are getting, and the higher plans, both of them have done similar kind of increase. Now let's look at this particular table. This table is going to be very interesting. What I've done is, and this I'm going to basically give you the article which describes this analysis, and I'm not going to go into the details of this analysis, which I have already captured in one of my earlier videos, as well as the article link you can read. So in net, what I'm saying is, based on a planning commission report, I have been able to extract the paying capacity of the various strata of Indian society. So Indian population can be broken down into various strata. So there is one is 5%. So 0 to 5%, this is a bracket 5%, then 0 to 10%, this is the number, 0 to 10 to 20%, this is the number, like that, right? So I have broken this down into various strata of the society with the capability to pay on communication and other services. So what I've done is, this table, if you see, if the 100 is the overall population, then 5% of the population is capable of paying for Bharti 98 rupees, which includes communication and other services, which can be haircut and other different type of services, right? So for Jio it was 96 rupees, and for VI it is 102 rupees. Similarly, if you go and up the ladder, you will find that the numbers are steadily increasing for all the 3 operators. Now if you do a weighted average of 90% of the population from this to this, from 5 per this, the lower segment till this, and leave this 5% plus 5% aside, you will come to this number 235.2 for Bharti, 232.1 for Jio, and 444.7 for VI. What does it mean? Means, again, you will not be able to get this unless you read the report. You have to take my word here. I had done this analysis based on the Planning Commission's report and based on the operators existing in various circles, and have extrapolated this number, so which basically means that if you are a Bharti customer and if you fall within this particular bracket, which is the 90% of the population, your ability to pay for communication services and other services fall within this bracket of 235.2, means per month you will be able to pay only 235 rupees inclusive of communication services. That's your threshold beyond which you will not make any, because you have to pay for other things also, like food and other articles. But so this is the maximum that you will be able to pay. Similarly, for Reliance Jio, you will be able to pay roughly similar to that of Bharti, and for VI you are paying higher because VI is operating in high category circles, and the low category circles VI is not that active. Now 10% of the population on a weighted average is contributing to a lower number, because this is the final weighted average number of all the segments, which is roughly around 281 rupees for Bharti, 277.3 for Jio, and VI is 292.2. So I've broken this into two categories, 90% and 10%, and if you add this two, this is going to come to this number. Now, if you assume that the overall number is 281 for Bharti, 277.3 for Reliance Jio, and 292.2 rupees for VI, this is the maximum a particular consumer pan India. If he is in with Vodafone, he is going to spend this much. With Jio, it is going to spend this much, and by Bharti is going to spend this much. Means this is the upper threshold of all kind of services which the consumer will spend. Now assume that the 90% of population, the threshold is for communication services only 70% of the bracket of 235.2 for Bharti. Assume that. I'm just making an assumption, which means that for communication service for Bharti, the threshold comes out to be around 164.6 rupees. And for 90% of the or the rest of the 10%, assume that 90% they spend on communication services and 10% they spend on. Though it is not exactly correct, because this is a higher number, so I am basically making an assumption the threshold is much higher, right, as far as the 90%. And since this is a weighted average number, so if you add this two, you will come out with a number which will be 231.1 rupees compared to 281 rupees for Bharti, because I have assumed that two categories of person has got different threshold. So 231 rupees. This is the maximum a Bharti customer will be able to pay, because he has to pay for other services also. 228 rupees for Reliance Jio and 240 rupees, 0.3 rupees for VI. Now what is the ARPU? Current ARPU for Bharti, weighted average pan India for all plan segment, including wildline, I told you it is 210, right? For Reliance Jio, the number is 173, including wildline subscriber. And for VI, the number is 147, including wildline subscriber. Now you can imagine, if you look at this particular parameter, you will see that for Bharti, the threshold, it is already hitting the threshold as far as the consumer spending capability is concerned. So even if suppose the 20%, if there is a 20% hike, and let's assume that this 231 rupees is the maximum which the consumer will pay, and Bharti's current ARPU is 210, so you have got 21 rupees, so the increase will be how much? The increase will be 21 divided by 210, which is 10%. So, but for Reliance Jio and VI, they've got a bigger room to play with, and therefore, because their numbers are already at low, and that is the reason I think the Reliance Jio has gone all out to increase the lowest segment of the population's tariff plans to a higher level, hoping to extract a larger pound of flesh. But Bharti and VI has not done it, but VI still have a larger room to play with. I do not know how much is going to get translated. So now the point is that when people are able to claim that, if you look at the total AGR, let's look at the AGR. If you do a TRA calculation and go to TRA's website and extract the numbers, roughly around 1 lakh crores for Bharti. Right, AGR, right, annual revenue. Then for Jio is roughly around 1 lakh crore. Jio is slightly higher, so I'm making it 1 lakh crore. And VI is around 38,000 crores. Now, if you add this three numbers as far as AGR is concerned, it comes out to be around 2.38 lakh crores. Now, if you assume that there is a 10% increase, right? If you do individual calculations, that if Bharti is able to increase by 10%, Reliance Jio is also able to increase by 10%, VI is able to increase by 10%. So then it is how much is going to be the overall impact on the industry, on the consumer. It will be, I told you, 2.38 multiplied by 0.1, which will be around 23,000 crores. 24,000 crores. So this 24,000 crores may be the overall impact on the industry, but I really don't know. How much is going to get translated in increasing ARPU is the thing that we have to see by looking at this particular table. I'm still not sure that how much is going to get translated in increasing ARPU, how much the consumers will be able to absorb. But the operators have played their game very, very clearly, and I hope that they are able to the objective from a business point of view is accomplished. But given the Indian demographics and the economic system with the consumer's ability to pay, right, in different segments of the population which are different in nature, I really don't know that how much flexibility and the leverage the operators have on increasing ARPU. Or increasing tariffs, so that the commensurate rate of increase will happen. So when you say that our ARPU has to increase by 240, 300 rupees, do you see, looking at this table, that there is a possibility of increasing ARPU if these numbers can be relied upon? So anyway, friends, I thought that to do this video to kind of let this concept out before everybody, so that they can understand the limitation and where we are, which we will come to know anyway after 2 quarters, that how much ARPU has increased and what is the impact, and depending upon that, the operator will have their own strategy going forward. Thank you very much for your time, friends. Already 30 minutes have passed. I hope that you like this video, and let me know if you have any comments or suggestion. I'll come back to you with a new video next time.